Good afternoon, boys and girls. Today we're going to read Chapter 11, Introducing Jimmy. August brought several surprises. First, Pollyanna found a kitten meowing pitifully some distance down the road. "I was glad I didn't find anyone who owned it," she told her aunt, "because I wanted to bring it home all the time. I love kitties. I knew you would be glad to let it live here." Miss Polly looked at the little gray bunch of misery in Pollyanna's arms and shivered. Miss Polly did not care for cats. "Ugh! What a dirty little beast! And it's sick, I'm sure." "I know it, poor thing," groaned Pollyanna, looking into the creature's frightened eyes. "And it's trembling, too. It's so scared. It doesn't know that we're going to keep it. I told everybody we would keep it if I didn't find where it belonged." Miss Polly opened her lips and tried to speak, but couldn't. She felt helpless. "I knew," hurried on Pollyanna, "that you wouldn't let a little lonesome kitty go hunting for a home when you'd just taken me in." She nodded happily as she ran from the room. "But Pollyanna," protested Miss Polly, But Pollyanna was already halfway to the kitchen, calling, "Nancy, just see this dear little kitty!" And Aunt Polly, in the sitting room, fell back in her chair with a gasp of dismay. The next day it was a dog, even dirtier than the kitten. Miss Polly hated dogs even more than cats, but she found herself powerless to protest. When, in less than a week, Pollyanna brought home a small, ragged boy, Miss Polly did have something to say. It happened this way. Pollyanna had been taking calf's foot jelly to Mrs. Snow. Mrs. Snow and Pollyanna were the best of friends now. Their friendship had started from Pollyanna's third visit, the one after she had told Miss Snow of the game. Miss Snow herself was playing the game now with Pollyanna. She was not playing it very well. She had been sorry for everything for so long that it was not easy to be glad for anything now. But under Pollyanna's cheery instructions, she had learned fast. Today, to Pollyanna's delight, she had said that she was glad Pollyanna brought calf's foot jelly, because that was just what she had been wanting. Pollyanna was thinking of this when suddenly she saw the boy. The boy was sitting in a sad little heap by the roadside, whittling half-heartedly at a small stick. "Hello," smiled Pollyanna. The boy glazed up, but he looked away again at once. "Hello yourself," he mumbled. Pollyanna hesitated and then dropped down on the grass near him. She had sighed at times for some company of her own age. She decided to make the most of this one. "My name's Pollyanna Whittier," she began pleasantly. "What's yours?" Again the boy stirred restlessly. "Jimmy Bean," he grunted. "Good. Now we've been introduced. I live at Miss Polly Harrington's house. Where do you live?" "Nowhere." "Nowhere? Well, you can't do that. Everybody lives somewhere," asserted Pollyanna. "Well, I don't. I'm hunting up a new place." "Oh, where is it?" The boy regarded her with scornful eyes. "Silly. As if I'd be hunting for it if I knew." Pollyanna tossed her head a little. This was not a nice boy, and she did not like to be called silly. Still, he was somebody beside old folks. "Well, where did you live before?" she asked. "Well, if you don't ask a lot of questions," sighed the boy impatiently. "I have to," retorted Pollyanna calmly, "else I couldn't find out a thing about you. If you'd talk more, I wouldn't talk so much." The boy gave a short laugh. His face looked a little pleasanter when he spoke this time. "Well, all right then. Here goes. I'm Jimmy Bean, and I'm 10 years old and going on 11. I come last year to live at the orphans' home, but they've got so many kids there ain't much room, and I don't believe they want me. So I quit. I'm going to live somewheres else. I'd like a home with a mother in it. If you has a home, you have folks, and I haven't had folks since Dad died. So I'm hunting now. I've tried 4 houses. They didn't want me." "Why, what a shame," sympathized Pollyanna. "I know just how you feel, because after my father died, there wasn't anybody but the Ladies' Aid for me until Aunt Polly said—" Pollyanna stopped abruptly. She had an idea. "Oh, I know just the place for you," she cried. "Aunt Polly'll take you. I know she will. You don't know how good and kind she is." Jimmy Bean's thin little face brightened. "Would she now? I'd work, and I'm real strong." He bared a small bony arm. "Of course she would," she said, springing to her feet and tugging at his arm. "It's an awful big house. Maybe you'll have to sleep in the attic room at first, but there's screens now so it won't be so hot, and the flies can't get in either to bring in germs on their feet. Did you know about that? You wouldn't mind sleeping in that room at all, I'm sure," panted Pollyanna. "Glory," explained Jimmy Bean. "I shouldn't think anybody who could talk like that running would need to ask questions to fill up time." Pollyanna laughed. "Well, anyhow, you could be glad of that," she retorted, "for when I'm talking, you don't have to." When she reached the house, Pollyanna led Jimmy Bean straight to her amazing aunt. "Oh, Aunt Polly," she cried, "just look here. I've got something ever so much nicer than Fluffy and Buffy for you to bring up. It's a real live boy. He won't mind sleeping in the attic at first, and he says he'll work, but I shall need him most of the time to play with, I reckon." Miss Polly grew white and then very red. She did not quite understand, but she thought she understood enough. "Pollyanna, who is this dirty little boy?" she demanded sharply. The dirty little boy fell back a step, and Pollyanna laughed merrily. "I forgot to tell you his name. He is dirty, isn't he? Just like Fluffy and Buffy were when we took them in. But I reckon he'll improve by washing, and— Oh, I almost forgot again," she broke off with a laugh. "This is Jimmy Bean, Aunt Polly." "Well, what is he doing here?" "Why, Aunt Polly, I just told you." Pollyanna's eyes were wide with surprise. "He's for you. I brought him home so he could live here, you know. He wants a home and folks, and I told him how good you were to me and to Fluffy and Buffy, and that I knew you would be to him too, because he's even nicer than cats and dogs." Miss Polly dropped back in her chair and raised a shaking hand to her throat. Helplessness was threatening to overcome her. With a struggle, however, she pulled herself erect. "That will do, Pollyanna. This is the most absurd thing you've done yet. As if cats and dogs weren't bad enough, but you must also bring home ragged little boys and beggars from the streets who—" There was a sudden stir from the boy. His eyes flashed and his chin came up. With 2 strides of his sturdy little legs, he confronted Miss Polly fearlessly. "I ain't a beggar, ma'am. I was planning to work for my board and keep. I wouldn't have come to your old house if that girl hadn't have made me, telling me how you was so good and kind that you'd just be dying to take me in. So there!" And he stalked from the room. "Oh, Aunt Polly," choked Pollyanna. "Why, I thought you'd be glad to have him here." Miss Polly raised her hand. Her nerves had snapped at last. The good and kind of the boy's words were still ringing in her ears, and the old helplessness was almost upon her. "Pollyanna," she cried sharply, "will you stop using that word glad? It's glad, 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 from morning till night. I think I shall go wild." Pollyanna's jaw dropped. "Why, Aunt Polly," she breathed, "I should think you'd be glad to have me Oh," she broke off. clapping her hand to her lips and hurrying from the room. Before the boy had reached the end of the driveway, Pollyanna caught up with him. "Jimmy Bean, I want you to know how sorry I am," she panted. "Sorry nothing. I ain't blaming you," said the boy, "but I ain't no beggar." "Of course you aren't, and you mustn't blame Auntie," appealed Pollyanna. "She is good and kind, really, but I probably didn't explain it right. I do wish I could find a place for you, though." The boy shrugged his shoulders. "Never mind. I guess I can find one myself." Pollyanna was frowning thoughtfully. Suddenly her face lit up. "Say, I'll tell you what I will do. The Ladies' Aid meets this afternoon. I heard Aunt Polly say so. I'll tell them about you." "What is the Ladies' Aid?" "It's a lot of ladies that meet and sew and give suppers and raise money and talk. And I'm going to tell them about you this afternoon." Again the boy turned fiercely. "Not much you will. Maybe you think I'm going to stand around and hear a lot of women call me a beggar." "Oh, but you wouldn't be there," argued Pollyanna quickly. "I'd go alone, of course, and tell them. And there'd be some of 'em I know that would be glad to give you a home." "I'd work. Don't forget to say that," cautioned the boy. "Of course not," promised Pollyanna. "I'll let you know tomorrow." "Where?" "By the road, where I found you today." "All right." The boy paused before he went on slowly. "Maybe I'd better go back to the home then, for tonight. I didn't leave till this morning, and I didn't tell 'em I wasn't coming back. But they ain't like folks, you know. They don't care." "I know," nodded Pollyanna. "But when I see you tomorrow, I'll have a home with folks that do care, all ready for you."